Burnout isn't a lack of control. It's a lack of limits. You say yes when you should say no. You stay up later even though you know you need more sleep. You keep pushing when the body is already done. And after a while, something gives, or worse yet, something breaks. Now, you've been told that burnout happens because life gets too busy. It doesn't. It happens when healthy limits disappear. Those limits are called boundaries. Living systems only function inside the right range. Too little pressure and nothing grows. Too much pressure and everything breaks. In a garden, if you plant the same crop in the same soil over and over and over again, you don't get more growth, you get depletion. No rest, no rotation, no boundaries on the soil, and eventually you don't have a garden, you have a dust bowl. Hi, Dr. Dave here, the Garden Shrink. I'm an old psychologist with fresh insights into how growth actually works in the garden and in life. Join me on a journey to increase the harvest out there and in our personal and professional lives. Whether you're just thinking about gardening, an old hand, or simply someone interested in psychological advice minus the copay, I've got something for you. So come on, let's grow something real together. Psychologists discovered something interesting over 100 years ago. It's called the Yerkes-Dodson law. Performance increases with stress and challenge, but only to a point. After that point, performance drops. Energy drops, motivation drops, and eventually, burnout arrives. Not because you're weak, but because you're outside the range your system was built to handle. Even effort needs boundaries.
Now, I learned this the hard way years ago. I bought baseball season tickets. Sounded like a great idea until you realize baseball plays 81 home games a year. Suddenly, what felt like a fun hobby started feeling like a job. Too much of a good thing ain't that good. Turns out, I bought myself a second job.
And here's the part most people miss. Burnout doesn't always start with what others demand of you. Sometimes it starts with what you keep demanding of yourself. A lot of burnout doesn't begin with a crisis. It begins with small decisions repeated over and over and over again. One more commitment, one more obligation, one more yes, until the life you built starts running you. Now, one of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming boundaries are mostly about other people. They're not. The hardest boundaries are usually the ones we set with ourselves. Things like how much we work, how much we commit to, how much information do we consume, how much rest do we allow. Without healthy limits, life expands until it fills every space you don't protect. Now, boundaries are more complicated than most people realize. They're shaped by your values, they're shaped by your responsibilities, your personality, and the situations you find yourself in. That's why this isn't a quick fix, it's a skill. That can be learned, but you gotta see it to change it. But when you do, you can begin to take back your life, one decision at a time. On a different note, here's something most people don't talk about enough. Some people need to say no more often, right? But some people need to say yes. Let people in. Give more. Show up more fully. Boundaries aren't about shutting life out. They're about shaping it. They're about balance. Now, ancient wisdom understood this. Human beings were designed with rhythms. Work, then rest. Effort, then recovery. In the Bible, this rhythm was called Sabbath, not as a restriction, as protection, because even God built rest into creation. Now, if you're not sure where your particular boundary challenges are, start here with 3 simple questions. Where are you consistently saying yes and regretting it? feeling tired but pushing through anyway. Resenting things you agreed to. That's usually where your boundaries need attention. All right, so we're not fixing it yet, we're just noticing. Awareness comes first. Every healthy boundary starts there. Now, farmers and wise gardeners don't leave this to chance. They are well aware that boundaries are not optional, they're essential to a good harvest. They space things, they rotate crops, they rest the soil. Not because they're obsessive, because it matters. And when something matters, you don't rely on willpower. You build a system. You design boundaries. And remember, boundaries are not walls, they're more like riverbanks. They give direction to the current. They keep it contained. They keep the system healthy. If you don't protect your life with boundaries, life will consume it. Because real growth in gardens and in life only happens inside the right condition. Better harvest, better lives, better boundaries. And if some of this is new to you, I'd recommend watching the first video in this series. Of course you're burned out. Because before you learn how to build boundaries, it helps to understand why every healthy system in life needs them. I've also created a free worksheet called Boundary Check. It's designed to help you notice where your life may be out of range before burnout forces the issue. You'll find a link in the description below. And if these videos help you think differently about growth, I'd appreciate your support through subscribing, liking, or sharing. That's how this little garden grows. See you later, friends.